Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. In this video, fixed versus clock versus continuous rim brewing. This is one of our Gong Fu Tea brewing masterclasses. These classes are designed to level up your knowledge in the intricacies of Gong Fu brewing so that you can eventually brew by instinct according to your own taste, no matter which tea is put in front of you. And if you've not checked out my previous video about direct versus indirect brewing, then you might want to go and check that out after this one. The conclusions to that video were that when you pour water directly over the leaves, direct brewing or gall brewing, then the tea results in being a little bit more fresh, a little bit brighter in terms of its aromatics, but also has more of that inner leaf material, which means that it's a little bit more astringent, a bit drier, a little bit more physical, and certainly more mineral. Alternatively, when you brew by pouring the water on the rim, so indirect brewing, not pouring directly on the leaves, but on the rim, then the resulting tea tends to have slightly less brightness in terms of the aromatics, slightly less of that bright, refreshing note that comes from minerality, from the inner leaf material, and the aromatics just are a little bit more in the warmer spectrum. Very incremental change, but it's there. And the tea is softer. It's less physical, it has less astringency, and is softer. There is no better or worse. It's all about adapting to the leaves in front of you and to what you are tasting during the session and adapting your brewing method accordingly. Very important that these brewing masterclasses are not about trying to teach you rights or wrongs, but give you the tools to brew according to your own taste. So what I want to do today is focus on rim brewing, and I'm going to show you 3 different styles of rim brewing to test out which is my favorite, particularly for this type of tea, which is raw sheng pu'er. This is Shimmer Bliss Rodi, our Iwu Gushu Pu'er tea. I've done a video about this tea. I'll put a link in the description below. So what I'm going to be doing today is comparing fixed position rim brewing. What I mean by that is I will always be pouring in the same place on the rim, and I will always be pouring out on the opposite side. So I'm pouring in here, the water builds up, and then I'm pouring out the other side so that I get the best extraction out of it. Now, I have done tests before about pouring on this side and pouring out on this side compared to the seesaw pouring, where you're pouring on the opposite side. There is a slight difference. It's not huge. It's almost imperceivable. I had to sit and do many, many blind tastes, and a lot of the time I got it wrong. So I don't think it's a major deal, but I will, for the sake of this experiment, pour the water in and pour out on the other side. So 3 o'clock in, 9 o'clock out. On this one here, I'm going to be doing clock brewing, which means I'm going to be doing the same thing, pouring here and pouring out here. But with every subsequent steep, I'm going to be rotating the gaiwan. So I'm going to be pouring in different places around the gaiwan. So I'll be always pouring here, but I'll be rotating the gaiwan, so it's going to be in a different place. With this one here, I'm calling it continuous rim brewing, where I'm going to be pouring around the rim for every single infusion. Let's give these quickly a rinse, just so that we can wake these leaves up. And I'll try not to do too much of a direct pour, but it's a very quick extraction. It's not going to make much difference with this rinse. I'm not going to go through the whole sensorial delights of this tea. It is a spectacular Gushu Pu'er, as many of you will attest. But the purpose of these Gong Fu brewing masterclasses is to note, I'm getting some lilac. Lilac and creams, spectacular. But as I said, let's not go there right now. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to roll through these infusions now. I'm going to do my first infusion here, second, third, fourth, because I think it's important that we taste how this these different brewing styles affect the taste of the tea through later infusions. You're probably not going to notice it on the first couple of infusions, but let's see. All right, I'm going to show you how I do it with the first infusion, and then I'm just going to fast motion roll through the other infusions, and then we'll see if we can get any conclusions. So I'm going to be counting 10 seconds between each one. So we're going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you saw the difference. We're going to go direct from these small guy ones into these cups. Bit too much water there. Okay, so I'm pouring out at 9 o'clock. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. So that's our first infusion done. I'm going to go get a stopwatch so that I can do it perfectly accurately for the other ones. And I'll be right back once we've brewed them all, and then we'll taste the difference between these three styles of Rim Brewing. Here we are, we've got 4 infusions of Shimmer Bliss Rhodi. I'm not sure the timing on this one, but this was 40 seconds, 50 seconds, and a minute. Equal amounts of leaf, and I was very, very careful when I broke up this cake to make sure that all of these had the same consistency of leaf. So no broken leaf, all whole leaf material. You can see spectacular material. And you can see here how when you pour from one side and you always pour out the other side, you start to develop a little bit of a bulge on one end of the Guy One. Right, so I'm going to taste these first infusions. Why not? Warm, slight hot rocks and sandalwood and apricot. Very similar warmth, nice balance, nice minerality, very, very similar. Can't really taste the difference. Not much difference, as you'd expect. If anything, slightly more rounded in terms of taste, slightly sharper. But it's very difficult to tell the difference. So if you do fixed versus clock versus continuous rim brewing on the first infusion, I don't think makes a big difference. Let's skip right to the end. Lovely apricot sweetness in my mouth right now. Let's skip right to the end and go to the 4th infusion, because that's when you're going to start to notice, I think, the difference. Let's start with continuous rim brewing. So this is me pouring the water around the rim, indirect brewing, but making sure that I circle the rim completely so that the water floods into the leaves evenly. Lovely. As you'd expect, more mineral coming through on the 4th infusion, giving me a little bit more bite, but all pleasant. Pretty much exactly what I'd want from it. Just this lovely bursting freshness, bright minerality, sits on the tongue, and then just dissipates into like a honeyed, like a herbal honeyed sweetness, right? Clock brewing. So every time I brewed this, every subsequent infusion, I turned this Guy One by just under a quarter turn so that I had a new position of pouring. Differences between them. if anything, potentially slightly stronger. I'd say has a little bit more of the bright aromatics potentially in that one. Let's taste this one. So this is fixed brewing, always the same position, being poured in. Now that one is extremely different. Much drier, much more astringent, more bitter, thinner as well. And just again, just like the direct brewing versus indirect brewing, has more minerality, a little bit too much minerality compared to the overall aromatics, less balanced. That's how I'd put it. You're getting so much more of the minerals and the physicality and less of the aromatics. Let's do a taste across here. Again, very sharp. Not the warm, luxurious nature that I'd expect from Shimmer Bliss Roadie. Definitely warmer, definitely softer, nice balance. Even warmer, and again, nice balance in terms of astringency. Final infusion here, this is the second infusion. I don't expect to see much difference between these. No difference between those. Sharper, more mineral, more bitter. And I've done this test multiple times, but this is quite extreme, the difference. And what I find is my general conclusions here, and this is again a matter for experimentation. I'd be very happy to hear your experiments, but overall, my impression is I don't like this style of brewing at all. For me, it sort of creates a very imbalanced tea brew. It's sort of like, it's almost like you're always, because you're always hitting the same sides of the leaf, the aromatics on those leaves extract very, very quickly because you're always stripping it from the same place, and you're getting more of that inner leaf material being dissolved and extracted into the tea, which means that you are moving towards the sort of mineral dry end of the spectrum much quicker than if you pour in a more uniform way so that all the leaves are getting a more even extraction through every infusion. It's almost like you are going to be bringing out more bitterness if you do it this way, which I know is not the point. I think that a lot of people brew this way to try to avoid disturbing the leaves too much and just try to keep it very, very gentle with not really sort of bringing out too much of the inner leaf material. But I don't think, in my opinion, it's producing the result that you're looking for. I think, in fact, it's counterproductive. Because the difference between that, which is really, you know, it's just, it tastes like maybe the 9th, 10th infusion, but even then it just doesn't taste balanced compared to this one. A completely different tea, almost like a different pour altogether. Smooth, rounded, warm, soft, lovely aromatics. Now let's try to focus on the difference between clock brewing and continuous brewing. I really don't like this fixed brewing method, but let's just focus on these two. I'm going to taste down the line here because I have a suspicion the flavor profile going along this line is very stable. It's very consistent. Yes, there are differences, but you're not noticing a huge difference in the balance of the flavors. Yeah. Whereas this one here, I'm noticing much more of a shift. This brew here is the richest, strongest extraction. And as we move down the line, it starts to shift and change, and I'm getting more of that journey going through the session. So I would say, as a conclusion here, but again, test it yourself. If you do clock brewing, in other words, you are changing the position that you're pouring the water in every time, then you are going to have more consistency through your infusions. You're going to, and that would make sense because you're you're sample brewing different pockets of the Gai 1, and so you're getting sort of the same sort of combination of aromatics and inner leaf material all combined to create that balance through each infusion. So I think you maintain more of those aromatics, you maintain more of the character through the infusions. If you're doing continuous brewing, then what you're doing is you're getting stronger, richer, earlier extractions, but you are going to notice the change through the extractions much more with every infusion if you do the continuous brewing. That's my general takeaway from tasting across this line. Test it yourself, and it would make sense, again, with this one, because you're pouring all the way around, you're getting a very, very even extraction with each one, and so you're seeing it time lapse as the leaf gives up more and more of its nutrients and more of its aromatics as snapshot, one after one. So you're treating the Gai 1 as a whole, as a singular thing, whereas if you're brewing down in this clock method, you're getting more pockets of the leaf being extracted, and so you're getting more consistency of flavor, and maybe you'll be able to eke out and get more brews out of it. So worth experimenting, continuous versus clock brewing. I personally would say experiment with the fixed brewing if you'd like, but I don't think it produces a balanced brew at all, and I think that it really doesn't do justice to the tea. Try them out, try different methods, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and then we can continue our journey into Gong Fu geekery. That's it, tea heads. Check out our other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags, keep drinking the good stuff, and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.